Hey, everybody, welcome to Behind the Bar. I'm your host, Danny Johnson, where we interview your favorite dry bar comedians. My guest today, very funny Dorie McLemore, has her dry bar special, Carbitarian, that is out. And I ran across a bunch of clips, loved it, and just had to have her on. She's also, you may have also seen her on Huckabee. She has a, do you still have the podcast with Michael Jr.?
Not I'm a co-host, not all the time.
Okay,
So
sometimes. Yeah, Michael Jr. is one of my favorites. I got a chance to work with him.
Yay.
And then you're an author.
Yes.
And the title of the book is Hope Grows, right?
Hope looks good on you.
Hope Looks Good on You.
Yeah.
Is a devotional for everybody or just women, or is it?
I mean, it's primarily women, but it's anyone can read it. It's not like any
Yeah,
secret women things in there. So
that's very cool. Yeah, I checked out your site and everything. So I'm excited to talk to you. Let's talk about your dry bar special. So, was this your first time taping a special?
yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yep.
And how was your experience with dry bar overall? I know for me it was, incredible, but
Yeah. So they were just amazing. They were start to finish, just really professional. They were encouraging, like just really awesome. Like you didn't feel like it was going to be this really intimidating experience, but they were very welcoming and excited to have me. And like the audience was super warm and they just brought together a good group of people, I think. And they were just a lot of fun to work with, like just the
yeah.
makeup artists and the um just all the staff. I had incredible
The
experience.
makeup artist thing was different for me. I had never had a makeup artist before, you know.
Yeah, I may have given her too much liberty. I feel like if you watch my special in HD, I feel as though there's a lot of makeup on me, but I think if you just watch it on a phone, it doesn't look as bad. But I was actually incredibly sick that day. My daughter had a stomach virus a few days before I went out there, and it hit me the day I was recording, and I was on the floor most of that day. And
Wow.
my husband was like, "I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna say you can't come." And I'm like, "No, I'm coming." And so I think the makeup artist was like, "Well, you are like way pale. Like we need to
Right.
put actual color in your face because it was just." But besides that little glitch, it was an awesome experience.
I think
But
your adrenaline kind of takes you through
yeah,
showtime anyway, right?
yeah, and Jesus, because I
Yeah.
was praying that I was not I'm gonna die that day. And yeah, so yeah, adrenaline so much so. I mean, I've had it happen so many times where I didn't have a voice before I went on stage.
Hmm.
And then, just how it's amazing how I've never had to like actually cancel a show
Yeah.
or anything because of it. So
Yeah, yeah. I think in I've only had to cancel one show due to illness because I've done a bunch of shows where it was like pre-flu symptoms and you just feel, and your adrenaline kind of takes you through it, and then you get done with it and you're like, please tell me, hopefully it's not a second show.
right, right, right. And this was, I mean, two showing, they do two tapings in front of two different audiences. I don't know. I was watching your Dry Bar special. I
Oh,
loved it.
thanks.
Was it still that way? Because it was a
Yeah.
little while ago, or like two shows, you do two different audiences for
Yeah,
you?
it was two shows, two comedians because back then I did it January 19th and it was 40-minute specials.
Wow.
So it was the most nerve-wracking thing ever because, when you and I do a show at a club or a church or a function or whatever, maybe it's taped, but you're taping it, but you have almost, now someone else is like in control
Yes.
of
Oh my
how
God.
you look and how you sound and how they cut it. And
Especially like social media wise. I was actually very content with the thought of just having done the Dry Bar special. And I thought, I don't mind if they don't come out with it for years. Because I know at some point there was a long lull
yeah.
between them coming out with it. And I was like, I'm actually fine if it doesn't come out for a while. Because then if it doesn't look good, I could be like, oh my gosh, it was like 2 years ago.
Right.
It was like that was crazy, right?
Right.
It was a lot sooner than I thought. So I think I filmed in May and it came out January 4th. And so I
Yeah.
was like, oh, it wasn't like years. I could
Yeah, some people wait. Some people wait. I mean, that's how, it's, some people wait a long time, a
yeah.
very long
Yeah.
time.
So I was excited but also terrified because the
Mhm.
social media, I don't have to like if I don't delete a bunch of comments or anything like that off of my own, but if it was like horrific, I would, delete
Yeah.
that or block that person or whatever. And this is just like I mean, it's fair game. It's out
Yeah.
there. Dry bar is, kind, but they're not
Yeah.
going to, take off anything, So I was like, oh, like it could be terrible. I don't know. Like I know from experience that I have a lot of fun with the audiences in person. I
Right.
enjoy it. I think they're enjoying it from feedback that they're giving me through laughter and stuff, but I didn't know how it would come across over like the internet, like with
Right.
film, it just is a different feel. You're not there. And so I was pretty terrified, but I feel like the feedback for the most part, it's been good.
Mhm.
I kind of shielded myself. My husband was like, let me look at the comments. I will show you the ones I want to show you. And he said, but honestly, it wasn't like I didn't get torn apart. So that
Yeah.
was wonderful. And yeah, and there's a lot of people who think they're comedian critics out there that have
Yes. People
never
are
done it.
people are way too comfortable to put whatever they want as a comment. Like we're not going to read it. I responded to almost every comment for the first, I don't know, 300 comments, I think, two or 300 comments. And like, there's two or three negative ones. The rest are great, which is nice. But I responded to the negative ones in a positive way. And I think they were a little taken back.
Yeah, it's good.
Um,
I mean, I think it's yeah, they're very brave and they have a lot of free time apparently to be able to say whatever they want. I don't know. So I'm just like, well, I'm not everyone's cup of tea. I'm like basically, I mean, I'm a, a middle-aged woman. Like I'm not edgy enough for most people. I'm definitely clean all the time, actually.
yeah.
So it wasn't a problem for me to come up with a clean set
Yeah.
because it was basically, I think my dirtiest joke is about not cleaning my house. I mean, that
Right.
is like the worst, material. So yeah, so I really enjoyed it, and I've had really positive results from it. Just the exposure is really nice too. Like I
Yeah.
think people out of the woodwork that I had, maybe they knew I was doing comedy, but they didn't know I was doing it
Right.
like,
Right.
oh, you're, actually doing that. And I'm like, yeah, I've been doing it since 2006.
Right.
But now I guess it's real, and they were like, "Hey, why haven't we booked you yet?" I'm like, "I don't know why we haven't," and so I think that that's been really awesome to just, I
Yeah.
think people recognize it, and Dry Bar is a big platform, and that's really cool. I really feel blessed to have been able to do it for sure.
I It's funny you say that you're always clean. Not funny, but interesting because I'm always same way. I'm a clean comic. I got booked at a private show for a neighborhood, residents of a neighborhood, two shows, and I did my first show and it went okay in a non-comedy club setting. And afterwards, I was asked to spice it up a bit. I was too
Oh my
clean.
God, that's hilarious.
Never got that feedback before. I'm like, well, I don't curse in my show.
Right.
They're like,
There's
well,
not
if you could just, do you have any sexual topics or anything you can kind of spice it up with? I'm like, I'm not, what do you want me?
that is hilarious. That is wow.
So I did the second show and it went just the same. And they were happy with it. And, they said they want to have me back. They could have been being nice, but it went well enough. And I said, look, if you're going to do another comedy night, I have another comic I can refer you, that's a little spicier, but not that I would come back this year anyway, because how often
Right.
can you create an hour of material?
Right, right.
But yeah, it was so weird that I got that feedback.
That is weird. No, usually it's I think the other way around, like a lot of you know, corporate things or like bigger, of course, churches want it completely clean, like nothing that they're
Of
gonna get in
course.
trouble for, like
Yeah, churches
so
are very touchy on who they give the microphone to.
oh, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. How did you put together your set? Like how did you determine, because you obviously have more than 20 some odd minutes of material. How did
Right.
you determine like what, if a young comic's listening to this and saying, I want to prep for a special, what
Right.
was your methodology around that?
I mean, I think I was doing the greatest hits for sure. Like I didn't like try to come up with something brand new for the special. I wanted to have, um, stuff that's tried and true for me.
Yeah.
And I think what was nice was I had about, I think it was like four shows, like kind of back to back right beforehand. So I made sure when I made my set list that, because those shows were all different time frames,
Yep.
it wasn't the same time frame, but I kept that like I started with my dry bar set, and then if it was a longer show, I would like add to the end of it,
Yeah.
but I always kept that intact so that I could get in like
Yeah.
a bam bam like several four, practice real, true to life, like here it is, and
Absolutely.
it was funny because a couple of them didn't go so good. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. I'm like I forgot a couple things and I was like, oh my gosh, and I was down to like the last like practice one and I was like, you've got to get this together.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like anything major. I mean, it was if I had forgotten a bunch of stuff, like it wasn't a bunch of stuff I would like, for me, perfectionist wise, how you like it to go exactly, and it's like I missed this little part or whatever, or I got confused. Like it was no big deal. Like even if I did it that way, it would be fine. But in my head, I wanted that like 4 perfect runs and like exactly the way I wanted it. And it was, I
Yeah.
don't think I ever got it exactly like that. But the actual taping itself, for being as sick as I was, and also just, because I thought I'm gonna forget my whole act. It went like phenomenally well
Yeah.
compared to what it could have been really a train wreck. But yeah, so that's how I just did greatest hits and I kind of tried to practice it as a set together
Yeah.
if you have that opportunity to do that. It's
Super smart, especially since if you take a look at your whatever, let's say you have an hour show that you're doing currently, and you plan on doing 25 minutes for dry bar, and like some of the jokes are here, some of the jokes are at 48 minutes, some of the jokes are at 37. Now you got to realign it and reorganize it to your first 25. So you're not used to doing those jokes sequentially like that.
right.
It's tough.
Not it would not normally be that way. So I was like, well, it doesn't matter how I did it before. I'm like, I want it to be this is the finished thing. I'm gonna get as
Yeah.
many practices as I can on
I
it.
love, I love, I related to you so much in so many of the things that you've said. You, especially, you only clean when you have company coming over.
Yeah. That's
That's how you know. If you see my microwave clean, then you know somebody's coming over.
it's definitely coming. I will sometimes, if I don't get a chance, like if someone just is coming by, I will just stick like a broom somewhere where it's visible, like, "Oh, you caught me in the middle of that,"
Right.
like I was just about to do that. Um, but yeah, it's bad. Like there is no like I actually don't know how I got into the friend group that I'm in because one of my friends, I asked her what she did for her birthday, like the actual day, and she goes, "Well, it was mop day." And I was like,
Mop day.
it was mop day. Like you have first of all, you have a day that you mop, and also you would not veer from that on your birthday. Like, is it gonna run into dust day? Like, I was just like so confused. Like, there's no way I belong in your friend group. Like,
Right.
just so yeah,
I want to
I
know
don't
how
have
many mop days she has a month.
I know I should ask that question, but I mean I'm not gonna implement it. So I'm just
Right. You
like
don't want to get into the mop conversation. Next thing you know, she's sending you Amazon links to different mops and stuff.
I know. I'm already in a lot of vacuuming conversations for some reason. And I'm like, I don't even know why I belong in this. I have nothing to contribute to this conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Your school project joke about, the teachers in the crowd, and you guys do know that when there's a big complicated project that we do it as parents. Totally reminded me. I think it was 7th grade science fair. Everybody else's parents did their project, and my parents were like, you need to do it. So all I could really do or think of was to do a trifold thing of about dinosaurs. So there was no building. There was like, pictures of dinosaurs and about them or whatever. And I remember it was so plain and so dumb. I remember standing there and these two teachers came over. I don't no idea who they were, judges, and they start using language I've never heard of before and asking me questions, trying to trip me up about with words I'd never heard,
Oh my gosh.
prehistoric ages I had never. And I just looked at them and I go, I don't know. Go check out Timmy with the volcano. His parents did that.
No, it's true. I should have let it go and I should have let them just do it themselves. But instead, like I would get very involved. My son, I let him come up with the idea, but he did this grease wars because he was really into Star Wars and also hamburgers. And
Right.
so we did grease wars and we had to buy like 6 different fast food burgers and like measure the grease spots on a paper towel. Like it
Oh,
was so not scientific at all. It was horrible. Like even when I helped with the projects, they were terrible.
yeah.
And he yeah, just wanted 6 cheeseburgers, basically. This was the motivation behind, which burger was the greasiest. And I don't even remember which one it was. It was a terrible project
Yeah.
and it did not make it into the science fair at all. So
Yeah.
so my involvement didn't really help my kids except that,
Yeah, I
I
love
had
how you say we didn't get an A or something like that, or like we didn't pass, or I forget.
we didn't get into the science fair. I think
Oh,
something
right,
like
right, right, right.
yeah,
One
we
of
were
my
like,
son's projects was like he does online school from home was about taking pictures in nature, and I can't get him to go out of the house unless he's hanging out with his friends, and they want me to take him out into the woods and stuff, right? So we literally went down the block where the street ended and there were some trees. I'm like, stand in front of the trees. I'll crop the picture to make it look like you're in the woods. And then they're like, take a picture of the flower. And look, so we went into my neighbor's flower bed, tried to
gosh,
crop out the house. I'm like, what do you want me to do with my kid? Take him out into the woods? I'd leave him there if I took him out in the woods.
that's hilarious. Well, now you could, I mean, totally Google image any project like that. It seems like I don't know if they know how to figure that out. If it, but
Yeah.
that's awesome. I think it's awesome that you went outside and you
Yes.
did try to get actual pictures that you took yourself. So
Right.
there you go.
I know. I do all these pictures of me shoving my kids into the kid into the woods. Look like you're interested. Grab a leaf or something. Grab something and look like you're looking at something.
At nature.
How was
That's
your experience on Huckabee?
It was good. I mean, Huckabee, I did, I felt funny. I didn't know a lot about the show or about Huckabee. I mean, like, I am so literally like not involved in government. I am so, I stay out of politics. I just don't know enough about it and I don't want to get involved. It seems like a lot of yelling and I let my husband do all of that.
Right.
And so not that he yells, I mean, just that he does, anyway, but I didn't know how like politically charged the show was. And so I don't know if that was a good thing or a bad thing for my comedy career. But he himself was an incredible person. We got our makeup done together and
Nice.
it was fun. And he actually after this show ended up like, I mean, like talking to every single person in line that wanted to talk to him. Like the whole audience
Wow.
would get in line. So he's a really personable person, if that's a word.
Sure.
But the show itself was very different to do than Dry Bar because the audience is even though they have a comedian pretty frequently, they instead of laughing they'll clap a lot.
Wow. Yeah.
And I actually thought they were clapping so often that I thought they had like an applause sign and I thought this is so distracting, because I'm like weirded out, like
Yeah.
where's they're not laughing but they're clapping, and I think it's because of the show is more like different interviews, and they'll clap if something is I guess someone says something good or something, I don't know,
Right.
or they agree,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
they're clapping, and it's different response than I was used to getting, and it threw me, to be honest. Like I was kind of deer in headlights a little bit with it was a ton of like cameras in your face more so than like Dry Bar. It's filmed like, like a
Right.
comedy special. And so they're not like the camera isn't like up in your face. And this was like, I mean, you had to be in a certain spot on the stage. It was a very big cavernous building,
Yeah.
and which isn't good for laughter really, because it just evaporates into the
Right. Right.
ceiling. And so I was like, whoa, this is intimidating. And I the floor was very slick. And I thought, honestly, a win would be me not falling on this floor and me not forgetting my set. And it was only like, I think 4 or 5 minutes, which also is rough for me. Like I really enjoy being with the people, like an audience, and I love just, it just takes some time, I think, though, to like almost get to know each other a little
Yeah.
bit, to it's I'm not used to like a club scene where you just start and it's like,
Boom.
immediately like you
Yeah.
better get your, laughs per second up right then. And I mean, I try to obviously start with a joke. I don't start by like,
Right.
monologuing or anything, but I think that it is a different feel when you only have 4 or 5 minutes, than
Oh yeah.
having 20 to an hour.
And one
Um,
shot to do it.
yep. Oh
That's
yeah.
it.
That's it. Right. And I was pretty terrified, to be honest. It was a rough, but they were amazing people. It was
Yeah.
nothing to do with them. They treated me like gold. I felt like a queen, and he was amazing. But for me, it was just different. It was a different
And
feel.
Huckabee's right there, like off to the side, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a
That
lot of
sounds
pressure. He's like
intimidating.
in your peripheral.
Yes. Yes. So that was like, yeah. I was, and he was, I mean, watching it back even, I was like, oh wow, he was laughing with it. And he was very great.
Good.
It wasn't like he was like checking his notes and like dismissive. He was very involved, and it comes out like the next day. or something crazy like that.
Oh,
Like
wow.
that. Yeah. So it's like literally like you film it and like I think it's a day or two
Right.
later.
By the time you fly home and
I know.
get back home, it's on.
It basically was. Yeah.
And how did you feel about how your set went? I mean, I know you said you were nervous, but and if you didn't fall, it was a success. But looking back on it, would you have done anything different?
I think I was really mechanical because
Mm.
I was trying to get everything exactly said exactly right. And I wish I would have just relaxed and enjoyed it more and just been like, myself more. I feel like it was not a good representation of myself.
It's
'Cause
hard though, right? I mean, you can't
yeah.
blame yourself. It's so nerve-wracking.
Oh, and I was robotic. Like, I felt
Yeah.
like looking back, it felt cold to me. Even and the clapping wasn't as warm as like a laughter field. So it wasn't, I don't regret doing it, but it was definitely not my best. Like if that a lot of people had not seen me do any comedy, like family members and stuff. And I thought I didn't know about the show and how big it was. Like my family was like, my husband's family was like, oh, we all watch it every week. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Oh,
Like I
wow.
was like, oh, I didn't know that you're gonna see it. Like I thought I
Yeah.
could choose if I wanted people to see it. And I'm like, nope, it was out there. And I did have some backlash from some of, I think, like the people that are not fans of Huckabee went and found me on my site and like attacked me and like not just verbally. I mean, obviously nothing,
Right.
but I just was like, wow, that kind of sucked. Yeah, that they
Yeah.
would come after me like that. But again, I feel like I'm gonna find the people that are my people and that enjoy the kind of comedy that we can laugh together and have fun and I'm not gonna be everyone's,
Yeah.
the one you would want to
Focus on
watch.
the people that are for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
I
Because I
had a
had
guest on this podcast that did Huckabee with his fly open, obviously unknowingly, and they had to edit it for post production during post production. Luckily, it was
no,
black jeans, so it must have been an easy edit. But his friends and family that were in the crowd, because he lives in the area, after the
no.
set were like, "Dude, your fly was open." He's like, he looked and he was like, "Oh, it wasn't like glaringly open, but
Right,
from
but
time to
you
time, you would
see,
get a zipper look."
oh,
Imagine
oh,
that's I check it all the time. As a guy, I check that all the time. I don't know. I've never caught it open, but I mean,
oh, that would be very devastating. Yeah,
yeah,
oh, that would be bad.
yeah.
I don't know what to do with
So
that.
tell me about the book. How did that come about?
Yeah.
Is it a read and a devotional, or is it what kind of book is it?
So it is a 21-day daily devotional for women. So it's like every day is like funny story because I'm a comedian,
Right.
and then it's a Bible tie-in and then a journaling prompt. And I made it 21 days because I read somewhere that it takes 21 days to build
To
a new
develop a
habit.
habit. Yep.
And then I was like, well, I mean, unless you quit and then it's, longer than that. But it's 21 because I wanted people to develop a habit of hope and joy in people's women's lives, and basically just starting your day or ending your day with the word and with laughter. I think is the best
Yeah.
medicine for all the things.
And some,
So
some non-denominational churches do 21 days of prayer and fasting as well. So that would coincide with that.
that's true. It's a good,
Perfect.
yeah. So I do travel with the book when I do church events or women's. I do a lot of women's events. I love it. I love the chocolate involved usually. No, I'm just kidding, or some kind of
Yeah.
food.
Hopefully there's a chocolate fountain or something in there.
Exactly. Used to pre-COVID, a lot of chocolate fountains. After COVID, not so many chocolate fountains.
Oh,
But I do love a good chocolate fountain.
right.
But yeah, and I bring the books with me and kind of I sell them with some merch after. So that's kind of been nice to have something to offer at the
Yeah.
end. Yeah. And the thought of making and traveling with t-shirts, I was like, I like to travel with something heavier, like books, Just
Sometimes
kidding.
I have to, yeah, I do. I have t-shirts, towels, and koozies, and I rotate amongst them. But if it's far enough away, I sometimes try to ship it
Oh yeah.
ahead of time. Hopefully it
Done
gets
it
there.
a couple times. I know that's the only thing. You never know if it'll. Well, I used to bring it with me. I have it in a carry-on and I would just pray that someone was going to help me put it over in the overhead
Right.
bin. And I mean, there was no way I could lift this thing myself. And the one time, I mean, it was a long time that I traveled with them before this one time that no one helped me.
Right.
And it was the last time I carried it on. I was like, and we're checking that because I was like, that was the worst experience ever. Because I don't, it's
Right.
like 50, like right on the dot, 50 pounds. And I'm not what Mr. Olympia or whatever. Like I could not
Right.
like the weight of it, and I almost hurt someone. I mean, it was terrible, but
And
yeah.
if you're traveling with a suitcase full of books and it's overweight for check-in, then you have to leave the line, set up in the lobby, try to sell some books,
I
lower the
know.
weight, and get
I know.
back
I'm
on.
like, please just take it. Just take the books
It's five
on the,
dollars.
on the
It's a
way home. I know.
devotional.
Yes. Donna, 10 for 10. No, I
So go
go ahead.
ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna tell you, I liked your bit about the 5K on your
Yeah.
dry bar. I only say that because I agree with you. And also that I recently did a triathlon, a sprint triathlon.
Okay.
Actually, um my friend who is also a comedian talked me into doing one because she said it would be fun to do. And I don't know why I believed her. And I think I thought she was like, we're somehow at the same like fitness level, which was a complete and total lie. Like she's
Right.
10 years younger than me. Casually mentioned that she had swam with beluga whales at the aquarium, like as a regular person that feeds them, like
Right.
which I feel like you have to be somewhat fit and know how to swim well to do that.
Right.
And also she is like some kind of judo master, and I'm like, oh, that also sounds like you would be like fit. And like
Super fit.
honestly,
Yeah.
she didn't say that until after we had already signed up and we were trying to practice together.
Right.
And so we were the one time we went and showed up at the community pool that we were trying to like, we're like, oh, we'll work out together. I was she was like wearing a tri-suit, like a cap, a swim cap and swim goggles. And I looked at myself in the mirror and I had on a tankini with palm trees on it and sunglasses. And I was like, wow, it looks like you're gonna do a triathlon and I'm gonna have a margarita over here. Like that was like, we are not like
Right.
equal in any way, shape, or form. And but let me say, you don't have to do a triathlon well to get
Right.
credit for doing a triathlon.
This
So
is
if you
true.
ever want to tackle a triathlon, you can say you did one,
Yeah.
and you really don't need to try that hard. So it's
Yeah.
you just it's
Yeah. I've done two more 5Ks since, and I don't know. Every time I do it, I think one was Thanksgiving with a bunch of friends and neighbors,
uh,
just to do it that morning. And the whole time I'm like, what am I doing here? It's and why are
I
we all doing this?
I know. I hate running, I hate biking, and I hate swimming. And I was like, well, why did I do this then? Like my husband was trying to be my bike coach and he was getting so frustrated with me because his plan was to like lower my time every time we went out and all this stuff. And
Right.
my time never went. In fact, it went up for a while. And he was like, what is wrong? He goes, there's got to be something wrong with your bike. And he got on my bike and he's like, there's nothing, like he was, you're barely keeping it upward, like it upright, like you are going so slowly. And I'm like, I don't know why. It's it's not it's me. I know the problem is it's me because it was not the bike.
Yeah.
It
I've
was
since
used.
added to that joke about the running, and when I choose to do it, I talk and I improv this a couple months ago, so kept it. But I talk about how I just don't want to be the last person in the race. Like I don't want to be the person with the police motorcycle behind me, whoop 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 whoop, and they can't even keep balance because they have to go slower than me.
Yes. No, that's a thing.
No,
That
I
in the
know.
triathlon, I saw the person that was last, and that was my motivation for finishing the race. Because I was like, at first, like, I'm just gonna finish, like that's my goal. And
Right.
then I saw that person on their bike. It was a bike part, and the cop behind them closing it down. And I was like, oh, that is my new goal, not to be that person.
Right.
So it
Because you're
was
not only holding up the whole like the volunteers or workers, you're holding up the neighborhood from leaving their driveway. Like, it's
yeah, it's terrifying. That is not where you want to be for sure.
so I came across some fun facts about you.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and I wanted to ask you about some. And then I usually end every podcast with the same five questions to every guest. It's not like a speed round, just get your thoughts on something. What intrigued me was you like old people candy. Are you talking
Yes, I
about like
do.
Werther's original?
No, I'm talking about like Bit of Honey,
Okay.
Raisinets,
What was the
Mary Jane
second one?
Raisinets.
Okay, I'm a big Raisinette fan. But bit of
Oh,
honey is like if you don't want to keep your fillers in your teeth.
right, right. I
Which,
don't think, I mean, maybe if it's old people with dentures, they can't have that. But like Mary Jane's, do
yeah.
you know?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I any candy basically at the Dollar Tree right now is
Yes.
probably my candy. Like I go there like score. Like I've been looking for the like and it's like
I've been looking
no
for this since 1995.
and that's how long they've been there.
Right.
Really. Like,
That's right, right. I bought my favorite old school candy is strawberry flavored Charleston Chew.
oh, yeah, I got that for Christmas. The
See?
strawberry flavor. I'm telling you. Yeah, no, like Charleston Chew is up there.
Yes.
There's a lot of
What about
like
lemon drops or red hots?
Red Hots, yes. Lemon Drops my husband likes, and I don't know I like them as much, but
Okay.
Red Hots, yeah.
All
No,
right.
it's I
So
have them
that
in my cabinet right now. Like just so you know. Like
yeah, I
that's
kind of want candy now.
I got you hungry.
All right, last one. This one intrigued me the most.
Okay.
Why do you hate scooping ice cream or holding balloons?
Um, I think it's the wrist strength, like the arm, the like if someone I run at parties, I cannot believe like when they're like, "Hey, would you scoop all the ice cream for the party?" I'm like, "No." Like
Right.
I hide when they bring out the ice cream because I know they're gonna ask. Now, I don't know why they're like, "Hey, look at her. She looks like she could scoop a lot of ice cream." Like I'm like, I would be the worst worker at like any ice cream, like I mean, Cold Stone like to have to scoop it and then
Yeah.
mash stuff into it.
Yeah.
Like I tip very heavily in those
Yeah, I'm
places.
surprised their forearms aren't giant
I know.
forearms.
It would be the and then holding balloons. I don't maybe they have apparatuses now where they can like those people that like have to hold them
Yeah.
and people want to buy one. And it's like, I mean, this has been forever ago, but the thought of having to, first of all, hold your arm up that high the whole time. I guess
Yes.
I'm really concerned about arm strength. But to hold it and then to have to, it's all tangled all the time. And people are
Yeah.
like, I want that one. And you're like, not that one. And just the thought of like that would be I always pretend like if I had a job, if I was going to hell and I had a job there, it'd be scooping ice cream or holding a balloon, selling
I think the
balloons.
ice
I
cream would be soft serve in
yeah,
hell, though. It'd have
that's
to
true.
be.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. It wouldn't be so hard.
I
Maybe
used to have a ice cream scooper, battery powered ice cream scooper. No, it didn't help you the battery power, but it was
oh,
the handle was the shape of a cow head, and every time it mooed every time you moved it, so it was mm.
that might make it more fun. See if you're at an
Yeah.
element of fun, maybe I could get over it.
It doesn't
That's
help your self-esteem when the cow's mooing while you're shoveling ice cream in your bowl.
true. Maybe it's to help you deter you from as many scoops as you were going to go for originally.
Right,
I don't.
right.
Yeah,
It's encouraging me to eat out of the gallon, is what it is. I'm not using the moose scooper.
that's a good point.
Right.
Spoon it out.
All right, 5 questions for Dory.
Okay.
One, who are your comedic influences, past or present?
Wow, this is got I'm gonna date myself completely because it's not even this is not even a maybe she's not even a comedian. Her name is Patsy Claremont and she is a author, speaker, and basically a first female comedian I saw
Okay.
back in the day. She spoke with women of faith and she was a storyteller and a funny storyteller.
Where did you see her?
Okay, so when I was 16 years old, my mom had a one of those dubbed cassette tapes,
Yeah, yeah.
and it was her message, God uses cracked pots, and it was
Okay.
like now it's a book and stuff like that. Well, my mom, we would put it in every time we went anywhere, and we would just listen to her stories over and over again. I'd always want to hear it, and I just that was my first introduction because I wasn't like late night. I was never like old. I mean, I didn't stay up that late to watch it. We
Right.
came from a very conservative home, so I didn't see a lot of comedy growing up, and so it was like that was like, whoa! I never even heard someone just telling funny stories. So
Yeah.
that was a big deal to me.
That's
Um,
interesting. I'll have to look her up. So this second question it's sort of similar. Can you think of a childhood memory that sparked your interest in being funny or comedy? So I always fall back to the first joke I ever heard my grandfather told me when I was like 7 or 8, right? So that, and then me retelling it to friends kind of was like, oh, laughter feels good. Can you think of anything from your childhood?
Yeah, I think that okay, so in my house, it's funny because people ask me this sometimes because my parents are not in like they're all your parents or are they in were they influences or whatever? And my parents are like a real estate agent and an engineer, like
Right.
not. But it was celebrated in our house when you like told us a funny story or like they just dinner was always a dinner and a show at our house. Like there was
Mm,
like it would not a sit down thing. It was like always like someone was getting up, telling a story, using your hands, acting it out. I mean, just doing all these things.
yeah.
And it was like that was fun and also just celebrated, like more so than like it wasn't like, oh, what'd you get on your math test? I mean, like I don't remember any
Right.
of that.
Did
It
you have
was just
siblings
yeah,
too?
2 sisters, yeah,
Okay.
and we're all, like, in some sort of stage, like, my sister does, sketch comedy, sometimes we travel together, and my other sister mostly sings, but she also is just like does stuff on stage too. So she's a willing participant. Let's just say that in
Yeah.
our shenanigans. And so, yeah, so it's like, whoa, how did you guys all come out of this? And it's like because it was celebrated in our
Yeah.
house. My dad like built us a puppet stage thing in our little playroom area.
Yeah.
I mean, and we would like just. I mean, I don't do puppets now. I don't. I mean, but I just mean it
Sure.
was. Oh, any kind of acting. My grandfather gave us his first ever video camera and I like read the whole manual cover to cover and then we filmed each other and filmed our Barbies doing stuff. I
Yeah.
mean, we just were always making radio shows on our tape deck, just
Yeah, the art sounds
stuff
like the
like
arts
that.
were pretty celebrated in the house.
Yes.
That would
But
be
I
I
think
think that's a funny thought that like subconsciously, potentially your sisters and you were competitive at who could bring the best story to dinner,
it's so true. It is
right?
true. Who got the floor? Like,
Like
I mean,
before dinner, you're like, all right, listen, you're the MC, you're doing 10, you're gonna middle, you're
opener,
doing 20.
like, oh, that's an opener night. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're headlining.
I'm gonna try some
Okay.
new bits tonight and see if mom and dad go for that.
We thought that yeah, we spiced things up for my parents. We're like, their lives are really boring and we need to like bring a show every
Right.
night, bring our best to the
That's
table.
funny. Favorite place to perform?
Wow, that's a hard one. Well, I'm on a lot of I don't do a lot of clubs, so I just said that a lot of times. But I travel with a few groups of women. I do the Unknown tour, and the I do Aspire Women, and I do acts with my sister, Dorie and Missy Comedy. So when I'm with people, it's not a specific place, but those audiences I think are groups of women coming in that are just ready to laugh and excited to be there. And especially traveling with my friends and my sister, like it's like the best. So I
Yeah.
think more so than a specific
I
place.
think
I
I've
think it's
heard of Aspire. I think I'm trying to think. There's another. I had a friend of mine and a previous podcast guest, Michelle McNair, out of North
okay.
Carolina. She, I don't know. For some reason, I'm
I think
seeing
I think
women's
so.
event in
Yeah.
her.
I think she is on the tour. Well, I haven't because there's only one comedian per event. I don't
Mm,
actually get to interact with the other comedians on the
right.
tour, but
Right.
there's yeah, other but I think she is on the tour. So
All right. So fourth question out of five. If
okay.
what do you wish was different about the comedy industry as a whole?
Oh wow. Um, what do I wish is different about it? Um, that is a really intriguing question.
For me, you wanted to. So
Yeah, yeah, a little. There you go.
for me, I wish it was that the general public, so by that I mean fans of stand-up comedy, oftentimes equate funny with famous. So
Okay,
the same people who have reminded me, hey, tell me when you're going to do a show, I want to come, tell me, and I tell them 80 times, but the minute someone famous comes to a theater in town, they go and they never come to mine, right? So in their mind, famous is funny, and I wish
gotcha.
that perception would change and they would give, there's a lot of good local comedians.
Right. Oh yeah, there
And
is.
social media, I wish a lot of talent agencies and managers wouldn't ask me the first question out of their mouth, how many followers do you have? Because I just like social media a lot.
Right, right. It is not, yeah, that is, I think that is hard to
Yeah.
do. I think with the dawn of so much social media, like that has brought a whole different dynamic to it,
Mhm.
that it is hard. Okay, if there's anything I would change, it would be that sometimes churches or people where I go, maybe they're comparing me to someone they saw on like a Seinfeld because now it's
Wow.
so out there. It's so much,
Right.
it's not like I've never heard, like a lot of people have heard comedy before. So they're kind of critiquing you against somebody that they definitely couldn't afford
Right.
to have there. And so it's like I get it, like, you know, I'm not, this person. I'm not this famous person. But we're gonna have fun tonight. And then they realize that it's gonna be great. But if they go into it with all these preconceived ideas about what comedy looks like, or what a good comedian is,
Right.
because I just saw this set by somebody that's literally been doing it their entire like
Right.
lives, and is of course like higher level than what they're paying for. It's like, don't
Yeah.
compare me, like I've been introduced a couple times, like maybe like twice in my whole career, but like one person was like, "Do you know Shonda Pierce?" And they show a clip of her, and they said, "Well, we don't have her tonight, but we
Ah,
have Dorie McLemore." And I'm like, that was the weirdest introduction.
holy cow.
No. So I was like, "Well, okay, yeah, you're right. I am not her. I don't look
Yeah.
like her." And but so that has not happened like a lot. But I do worry that people in the audience are definitely thinking like, "Oh, I saw this comedian, I saw them do this," or
Yeah, if they don't know who you are, there's definitely sometimes an attitude or perception of like, all right, show me, prove to me, instead of being open and welcome to,
right.
because I bring guys and women comedians to open for me, and I'm like, give these people a shot, listen, be so judgmental. Have you ever heard of you've heard of Brian Regan?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm doing a private show for Future Farmers Association of America, and in the same town, same night, same time, Brian Regan is performing at a sold out theater right down the road. And I opened the show with Brian Regan sold out the arena down the road, and they all applaud. They love him, whatever. I said, and if your budget was $90,000 more, he could have been here tonight with you. You're just
Exactly.
$90,000 away.
Kudos. Yeah. No, it's so true. And
Yeah,
that's really what, and they have to, and it's hard because they are able to watch full episodes of, yeah, of a
yeah,
lot of incredible comedians. And I feel like I have a good time, and we have a lot of fun, and it's
yeah.
not a competition, but it's,
Last
yeah.
question for you, and I'll let you go. And thanks for staying so long. If you weren't doing comedy or speaking, humor speaking, author, what would you be doing for a living?
Good question. I always am grateful that I don't have to find that out because I can't do anything else. Like I don't have skills. Okay, I really don't. When the pandemic hit and then there was no events, I did write my book that year, and because I think I just had the time, and that's what, so I remember being like in honors English in back in high school or whatever, and I do enjoy writing. I don't even read that much, but I enjoy writing. And but I guess I would do more of that, but I honestly don't have a lot of other skills, and my mother-in-law will tell you that for sure, so,
Yeah. I wrote a book a while ago about acing your job interview. It's sort of a humorous look at it. Um,
Oh,
More of a
funny.
step by, because in any way, I'm not a good writer as far as like English wise, not English wise. What am I trying to say? I guess
Grammar.
my point is, the people I gave to read it, to edit it or whatever, they joked that they ran out of red ink. They were like, "Look, can you just what is this? Do this, change this." I'm like, "All right, I'm just getting my ideas out. How about some
Yeah, yeah,
grace?"
that's funny.
Look,
Yeah.
so Dorie comedy dot www.dorie.comedy.com, DORIE comedy.com. You can check out her videos, links. Her special is called Carbitarian. We
Yes.
both enjoy carbs very much. Your bit about bread just made me want to make a loaf of bread or eat a loaf of bread. But yeah, thanks for joining me today. I appreciate it.
Hey, well, thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Hopefully, our paths will cross. And if you can hang out here for a few seconds, we'll talk to you soon.
All right.
Bye.